everybody, to another episode of the Can Mandy's Kill a Jedi podcast. I am your co-host, Darth Celine.
And I am your main host, the Artificial Dragon, and welcome to episode 72 of the podcast, everybody. At the time of his recording, it is let's see, what day is it? Yeah, it's the 22nd. 2 days after my co-host's birthday. But happy late birthday to you, Hannah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's actually kind of, we didn't exactly record on your birthday, but...
I was busy, so it makes sense.
Yeah, me and Hannah were busy. She had her birthday dinner, and I was just working all night, so yeah, wonderful.
It is
time.
what it is.
Life gets in the way sometimes, but anyway...
Summary of this episode. It's my birthday, and I get to pick the episode.
Exactly. But speaking of birthday surprises, Hannah,
is it done?
Since this episode will be a you-know-who episode, I decided to combine two things that you like. One is Maul, and so this month's Patreon art piece is... Maul deciding to take a career in Las Vegas.
Oh my god, he's a stripper. Maul has a chip and nail. Fuck yeah!
Yeah, I decided, hey, I know Hannah loves Chippendale and loves going to Vegas every once in a while, so why not combine the two with one of her most favorite Sith Lords of all time?
Fuck yeah, I love this. I cannot wait to see it finished.
He looks like such a stripper, just, hey, baby, I could give you a great good time with a dark side over here. Yes. But yes, we got a Patreon art piece of Maul working as a Chippendale, pimped out on his pimp throne and everything. Pimp throne of Mandalore.
That's not even pimp throne, that's a slut throne.
That's a slut throne, yes. More accurate, Hannah. But yes, if you love a shirtless Maul with a nice little bow tie and everything, go ahead and grab him at patreon.com/canmail. Once again, that's patreon.com/canmail. The highest tier, you'll be able to get Maul, as well as the other previous Patreon art piece, including Empress Lacris, my most favorite Patreon art piece thus far.
Also, Exar Kun.
Yeah,
my second favorite.
Sexy Coon, Hannah.
Yes.
Who is also in his pimp throne over there.
Yes.
But yeah. Aside from that, the Discord is open for everybody. Anybody can join if you have a link, which is always in the description down below. But for additional tiers, such as the Consular and the other tiers, you'll have access to secret channels where you could discuss what future episode and, vote on which one you like the most, and we'll cover it whenever we get around to it, that is. But yeah, Patreon stuff, gonna do a shout out to the highest consulars. We have Alan Lee, Y Wolves, Cameron Lee, Dr. Emboss, Gobez, Lee Fott, Milo, and Tristan H. Thank you guys so much for supporting our podcast for our 3rd year anniversary, Hannah.
It's today?
It is today.
Holy shit!
Yeah, so not only is this a birthday episode for my co-host over here, it is also officially our 3rd year anniversary of this podcast.
Yay!
Hard to believe that 3 years ago I was in my old apartment and we decided to meme about super weapons, Hannah.
Yup.
Miss Kit being on the podcast, but it is what it is. But yes, also, Hannah, shout out to your blog.
Support Celine's Cantina.
Support Celine's Cantina, which might be going through a little bit of a branding change, I believe.
I'm still trying to think of a name and maybe get a sign mailed or something. I don't know.
That's fair. But yeah, go over to Celine's Cantina, give her some wonderful questions. I know it's been a little bit on the quiet side over there, but I always appreciate the posts that you make every once in a while.
Thank you.
You are very welcome, Hannah. But with that out of the way, and if it wasn't obvious from the
Art piece.
the Patreon art piece, I think we all know who we are covering today, Hannah.
Maul!
Darth Maul, the very first apprentice of Darth Sidious himself.
Yes!
The son of Dathomir, the son of Mother Talzin, and the first Sith to have ever revealed himself for 1,000 years.
Yes!
So yeah, Darth Maul, if I'm going to be completely honest, Hannah, I don't think we'll be able to do Maul this much justice in under 2 hours or anything like that.
Fair enough. As you said, his Legends and canon wiki pages are long.
Insanely long. Like, you remember when I did the Padme episode, like
Yeah.
a year ago, and her page is insanely long?
Yep.
Yeah, that's kind of the same thing with Darth Maul. There's not a whole lot of political intrigue when it comes to Maul. It's more like a lot of assassination missions.
He's Palpatine's assassin.
Yeah, assassin, or as the fandom likes to call him every once in a while, his personal errand boy.
Yeah, technically, yeah.
But yeah, there is so much meat to Maul, for lack of a better term, but I'll go ahead and shut up about that and actually give you a nice little quote of his. And I will attempt a classic Darth Maul voice.
Good luck emulating Sam Witwer.
Fear attracts the fearful, the strong, the weak, the innocent, the corrupt. Fear is my ally. There's a little bit of a Sam Witwer, Sam Witwer emulation there. Doing Darth Maul quotes is always so fun, if I'm going to be completely honest.
Yeah, I mean, he also voices Palpatine.
Not to mention Starkiller.
Yeah, and the brother.
Yes, but yeah.
Or the son.
But yeah, kind of a little bit of a discretion here, Hannah. I will, like I said before, I'm doing a little bit of a hybrid between canon Darth Maul and Legends Darth Maul. In some aspects, they're pretty much the same. They're kind of interchangeable.
But of course, with canon and Legends, things differ.
Yeah. Like, for example, in Legends, way before the Clone Wars brought him back from the dead, Darth Maul was basically canonized as a Zabrak from Iridonia, which is the homeworld of the Zabrak race, and he was just a red-skinned Zabrak. He didn't have any association with the Night Sisters or anything like that, or the Night Brothers, but when the Clone Wars came along, he was basically retconned to be a Night Brother.
Yeah, because okay, the Witches of Dathomir and the Night and then
Try again.
fuck. Don't mind me, my brain's getting scrambled by Simp.
Yes, I know.
Okay, Dathomir, as we've mentioned twice before, was first mentioned in Courtship of Princess Leia.
Yep.
Dave Wolverton was ecstatic when George Lucas started considering making Maul originate from Dathomir.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, when he was developing the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Because, Dathomir does make an appearance.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like one of those contentious things that the fan base is really split on, because I remember back in the day when the Clone Wars was still a newish thing, and bringing Maul back from the dead was kind of a huge taboo. Nobody didn't really like it that much, but then they actually got into Maul's development as a character more and more, and then people were starting to lean back into the liking aspect. A lot of people kind of consider that little bit of a retcon unnecessary, but looking at it from a story point of view, I think it makes a lot of sense to kind of connect Darth Maul to the Night Sisters and how, I guess, an expansion on how the dark side works and how it branches off into separate paths, so to speak.
Yeah, I like that. It's just how the light side does.
Yeah. But just a little bit of a discretion when we talk about Darth Maul's backstory in Legends and canon.
Fair enough. I did see one, kind of theory or something.
Yeah.
That originally, the idea for the sequel the sequel trilogy.
Oh yeah.
Was going to have Maul and Talon work together.
Oh yeah, I remember
That would have been so fucking cool.
And I also think it's kind of serendipitous because according to a lot of concept art for the Phantom Menace, originally Maul's or the character that was going to be what Maul became was going to be a witch. I'm not sure if it was specifically from Dathomir, but that was one of the concepts that originated and eventually evolved into Darth Maul, which I think is
That's still really cool.
which I think is kind of foretelling of what Maul would eventually get a connection with the Night Sisters and all that.
Yeah.
But going forward from the behind the scenes stuff and more into the in-lore stuff. So, Darth Maul is a Dathomirian Zabrak, born in 54 years before the Battle of Yavin. Curiously, around the same time, a young Kenobi would be found strong with the Force. So, kind of a nice little coincidence I found in that little bit of research.
I mean, Maul is Obi-Wan's foil.
Yeah, he is.
Everyone knows that.
Yeah, I just think it's kind of interesting that the moment the Jedi found Kenobi to be strong with the Force, boop, Darth Maul was born. It was like, Kenobi!
The Force was like, okay, let's just fuck up this here.
But yeah, but let me see. He was born as a Night brother alongside two other brothers named Thero and Savage, the good old brute himself. According to legends, he was the son of Caecina, who is a night sister. Yeah, Caecina, who is a night sister of Talzin's coven. And shortly after birth, he would be subjected to the initiation ritual, where he would be immersed in a magic oily bath and covered head to toe in black and red tattoos. And I do want to put a little discretion in Legends. Basically, Palpatine would be the one to give him his Sith tattoos as he grew older and all that. But in this new retcon, he was kind of born into this initiation already with red and black tattoos and all that.
Going off of just fanon, because, Child of Dathomir, with that campaign, we really expanded on the lore behind how especially Dathomir society works.
Yeah.
In the Night Sister clan in that campaign, all the boys got their tattoos, or their quote unquote slave tattoos, when they were young.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Just to kind of a little bit of a branding, so to speak.
Yeah. But it was also a rite of passage.
Oh, yeah. And I'll actually show you a couple of pictures of a little, I wouldn't say baby Maul, but a little boy Maul.
He's so fucking cute!
Yeah, he is kind of cute. Probably not cute when he's under Sidious, but yeah. There we go.
Look at his itty bitty horns!
Yeah, he's got little itty bitty horns over there.
Nice.
But yeah, so after that little initiation, it said that he was stripped of his black Night Brother markings, leaving Maul solely as a red-skinned Sabrak. And Caecina, wanting one of her sons to not remain a slave under the Night Sisters, took Maul out of desperation to a nearby settlement, and the Force would bring her to a mysterious cloaked figure, whom she implored to take her son away from Dathomir.
Insert Agatha all along.
It's also kind of funny that you bring that up because the new TV series is also not in the making.
The first 2 episodes have been out for like a week. I need to watch them.
One of these days, yeah. But yeah, she would give her son to this mysterious road figure, as we know is Palpatine. Now, she did this out of, I want to say, understandable reasons. Desperation, because Mother Talzin isn't exactly the greatest of people anyway, but it's like trading one evil for another, but she probably didn't know what was going to happen to begin with.
No.
I've also heard there's some retcon out there to kind of consolidate the canon aspect and the legends aspect a little bit. Caecina stole Maul from Towson and decided to give him up to Palpatine as a huge fuck you.
You know how Eric did that?
Ow.
Caecina was his father and was able to get off planet and got a sex change.
Interesting. Okay.
So Talzin is still his mother. It's just Caecina is also his mother.
Maul has two moms?
Technically.
God damn. That was a plot twist I was not expecting, but anyway. However, in canon, Maul would be the son of Mother Talzin. And on his very first birthday, Talzin would give her son his very first tattoo. Though as his childhood passed, Maul struggled with his deep inner anger, but always felt a connection with the surrounding nature and forest of Dathomir, a byproduct of his force sensitivity. And according to, while he was still a child, it would be when Talzin became an ally to Darth Sidious, and the two colluded, sharing secrets of the dark side and Night Sister magic. So this was basically the aspect where Palpatine was trying to look for allies, and then he saw Mother Talzin, the most powerful of the Night Sisters, like, ooh, you could be my potential first apprentice. Now what happens from here is basically a legend. We don't know if it's true or not. I believe this certain story comes from a series of canon short stories called Myths and Legends.
Okay.
And this covers a little bit of Maul's childhood, which I think will be pretty interesting. Also, I gotta share this little poster of young Maul with Palpatine and Mother Talzin.
Oh, really quick. I remember in... this is a little different thing from Legends and canon that I remember. In Legends, especially in Courtship, Palpatine isolated Dathomir because he did not want Gethzerion to get off planet, because she's fucking nuts.
Oh, yeah, she is.
And then in canon, Palpatine willingly goes to Dathomir to ally with the Night Sisters.
Yep. I know.
Look at that small, angry boy.
And I like how Palpatine and Mother Talzin are over him like they're his parents.
Well, okay, Palpatine basically was his quote-unquote father.
Oh, yeah. An adoptive father, but still father regardless. But yeah, according to this little myth, it's basically a myth, like I said before, a little fairy tale, if you will. But let me see. I kind of lost track of it. Here we go. Legend had it that every time Sidious visited, Maul would hide in his room, afraid of the man and worried about his mother's increased bonding with him.
Oh.
Sidious would come to be curious about the young Zabrak and his struggle with his inner anger. What followed depended on who told it. According to Mother Talzin herself, Sidious backed out on their deal and stole Maul from her. But according to his legend, it was a lot more complicated. Sidious ordered Talzin to give up Maul to a keeper, another night brother, if you will, threatening to not follow through on his promise to make her his apprentice if he remained at home when Sidious and Talzin met. Reluctantly, Talzin agreed, and Maul would be placed under the care of a night brother, who along with his two sons would relentlessly abuse Maul for months.
That kind of tracks for the Night Brothers, though.
Yeah. But this is a special kind of abuse for Maul's case.
It's Sith training.
Yeah. Through these months, Maul grew resentful of his mother and hated her for abandoning him to his new tormentors. His anger manifested through the dark side, and he would practice its use in private. Eventually, his adopted brothers would stop beating Maul as they saw that their provocations wouldn't affect the boy at all. He was just kind of suppressing his rage until the moment came where he could just unleash it in its full glory, that sort of thing. Eventually, one day, rumors spread of a selection where one of the young Night Brothers would be selected by a Night Sister to be used as a warrior apprentice. So basically, a repeat of that Focus episode where Asajj Ventress would pick Savage Opress.
And where we first meet and say goodbye to Farrell.
Oh yeah, unfortunately. Peace to ya, Farrell. We barely knew ya. But yeah, Maul's adopted father would refuse to allow him to participate in the trials and locked him up in his room, basically.
Dick!
You know, as I'm reading through this certain story with my research, I was like, interesting. He's given up to an adoptive family. They're very abusive to him. He's got 2 adopted siblings. The adoptive father locks him up in his room. And I came to the conclusion, this is basically Cinderella.
Oh shit, it's reversed!
Like with the 2 adopted sisters, he gets locked up in the tower or whatever because the king's coming in to see who has the slipper and everything.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I know. I was like, oh my god, Maul is part of Cinderella now.
Maul's a Disney princess! It's canon now!
It's canon. You heard it here, folks. Maul is officially a Disney princess.
Yes!
I think that was kind of interesting when I correlated that story. But anyway, the young Maul, not content with being locked in his room, would break down the door and found out that the visitor who came in for the selection was Sidious himself.
Papa Palpy.
Papa Palpy. In a sudden burst of hatred, Maul used the dark side to force choke the 2 brothers, and then the Keeper for all the months of abuse they had put them through. Not in front of just Sidious, but also Mother Talzin.
Oof.
Yeah. Pleased with... yeah, so, I mean, Mother Talzin probably wasn't that shocked because, well, she's a Night Sister. She's done worse.
I know, but still.
Yeah. Sidious was extremely pleased, and he declared Maul the winner because he killed all of his adopted family, basically. And he's like, I choose you, Maul. And much to Talzin's dismay, Sidious would proclaim Maul his new apprentice, and Maul would leave Dathomir with Sidious.
That's an interesting what if to think about. What if Talzin became
Sidious's
apprentice?
That is, it would be kind of interesting. Palpatine seems to have a habit of choosing apprentices that are a little bit older than him, it seems. But and then after that, Mother Talzin would swear revenge on Sidious for taking her son away and for her son for taking her potential position as Sidious's apprentice. But yeah, regardless of how Sidious got Maul, the young Zabrag's tutelage under the Sith Lord was hell.
Yeah, I've read it. It's hell.
Yeah.
It was torture.
Yeah. He spent the first few years of his life on the lava world of Mustafar.
Yeah, because that's a great place to raise a child.
Yeah, and Sidious didn't even take care of him. He left the caring to droids, basically. Sidious was just kind of there in the background while the droids did the actual caring for
Typical
Maul.
douchebag.
But Sidious would train Maul to specifically be a Sith assassin under the permission of his now master, Darth Plagueis, and all that. And initially, Maul never knew who the human that served as his master really was. He only referred to him as Master Sidious. He didn't know anything about the Sith or what his master truly was. He just obeyed him like an obedient slave would to a master, basically.
Well, that's kind of how the Knight brothers function anyway.
Yeah, that is true. Life was hard for Maul. Any show of hesitancy or mistake was severely punished, and any hint of mercy was met with cruelty. So he was trained from day one to be a relentless killing machine.
Hey, Palpatine, fuck you!
One day, when he was sparring with a droid named TDD9, both of them wielded wooden staffs, and they were, in like this little arena where they did their sparrings and everything. And the droid instructed Maul to dodge his blows. Maul would be hit on the first 2 strikes. The other 2 he would dodge effortlessly. But the droid decided to pull something unexpected out of the bag, and the droid basically span and threw the staff at Maul like a motherfucking javelin, hitting him square in the face.
Ouch.
And an enraged Maul unconsciously force-pulled the staff into his hand, which surprised the droid, who immediately reported this to Sidious, because this is his first hints of force sensitivity manifesting.
Okay.
But yeah, one asked how he felt during that little blow to the head. Maul basically said that he felt angry, and Sidious grinned with satisfaction.
Fucking duh. Who wouldn't be angry?
Yeah.
A pole hit you in the face.
And Sidious would teach Maul the ways of the Force, and more importantly, of the dark side. At one point, Sidious would have the Zabrak chained to a wench, which suspended the Zabrak over a pit of acid, which he slowly started to descend into.
Fucking Kali Ma of Indiana Jones.
Pretty much. And during that entire time, Sidious would basically do an entire lecture explaining the history of the Jedi Order and the Sith, their age-long conflict from beginning to end. Like, basically the entirety of the Sith history from Naga Sadow, Exar Kun, Darth Revan, Darth Bane, so on and so forth, to now. And during that entire conversation, which, to be honest, probably lasted like 5 minutes or something, in that entire time frame, Maul would basically sneak out of his restraints and land back right next to his master. And Maul would be like, "So, where are the Sith now?" And Sidious answered, okay, so basically he asked if the Sith were still alive out there. Because Sidious was being the what's the word I'm looking for?
He hasn't directly outward told him he's a Sith Lord.
Yeah, he hasn't gone out and said that he's a Sith Lord. But Maul, he was very curious about this Sith Order and asked if they were possibly still alive out there. And Palpatine basically said, it is possible that they are still alive. If it wasn't for the Sith, Maul would have been found by the Jedi and made into a, quote, mindless and obedient servant for the Republic.
Gee, look where that ended up.
And it was that moment where Maul's hatred for the Jedi truly began. You know, classic indoctrination going on here with Maul from Sidious.
Oh, yeah.
In which he denounced the Jedi as weak. But Sidious reminded him that they are not to be underestimated. For compassion is their greatest weakness, but they are still strong warriors. Maul and he...
Foreshadowing.
Yeah, I know. After his history lesson, Sidious would put Maul back in his chains, but this time, the winch would be lowered at a greater pace, and thus a greater challenge for Maul to escape out of. So yeah, a classic tough love, or I wouldn't say tough love, just a lot of death traps.
That's not even tough love, that's fucking saw traps.
Oh yeah, that's in basically Maul's life in a nutshell from day one. Just a saw trap after saw trap after saw trap.
That sucks.
Oh yeah. At another time, Sidious and Maul would be disguised as tourists and travel to the Jedi Temple itself. Their presence would be cloaked by Sidious's power in the Force. And basically Sidious would be like, oh, here is the Jedi Order, look how foolish they are. We walk out in the open and they are so oblivious to our presence, that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. By the age of 10, Maul would be sent to the Orsis Academy, where he would be taught the skills of an assassin. So basically, he went to the assassin school, plays any obligatory anime with a
Assassin Classroom.
Assassin Classroom, that's what I was thinking of. Obligatory insert there. And while there, Maul would learn at the Orsis Academy for 3 years, and he would have a mentor and a former member of the Death Watch named Melich Karako, and he would even make friends with fellow classmates. such as a female Nolan named Kellendy and a female human named Dalen. To the point, there was this one nice scene where the Nolan was like, "Hey, you want to go swimming with me?" And Maul was like, "Sure."
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah, that's very sweet. And, they would develop a close relationship with each other, Maul with these two girls. And at one point, both told Maul that a surprise awaited him after he passed his final trial of the Academy. And he would pass his trial, and Sidious, he would be very pleased with Maul. And he gave him his next assignment. And
Kill his best friends.
well, not his best friends, but everybody at the Academy.
Oof.
And I mean everybody.
That's a gut punch.
And Maul was like, okay. And he would destroy the Academy. He would go up to his Nolan friend, and he would just stab her. And she died with a smile on her face because, she's an assassin. She kind of understands the game and all that. And her last words to Maul before passing away were, "I guess you're not interested in the surprise that Dalen and I had for you."
Surprise.
We don't
I
know.
think they were going to kill him.
That's what I was thinking too. Like, maybe it's a genuine surprise that I don't know.
I think that they were going to kill him.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. So Maul kind of dodged a bullet there at least. Mm-hmm. But yeah, after that little thing, yay, massacre!
Yay!
At the age of motherfucking 13, by the way. Maul is just casually massacring people left and right. By the time Maul was 17, he became a weapon molded by hate, but he still maintained a sense of honor, giving a quick death to those he considered worthy. I think I mentioned this a couple of times. So Maul would study each Jedi from the Jedi Temple, and one of the Jedi he always dreamed of fighting would be Plo Koon, because he's very emblematic of what the Jedi represent. Mm-hmm. But
Didn't we mention that in the Plo Koon episode?
Yes, we did. Despite having a tortured childhood by the hands of his... Oh, yeah. Another thing I forgot to mention. There's this one moment from the Darth Plagueis novel, I believe. Maul wanted to... Okay, so Maul was basically the guy or the child who wanted to please his dad. Like, he would do these grandiose missions to please his father figure, basically. And they were on the planet of Megiddo, which is the ice planet from Revenge of the Sith. Okay. And Maul was all like, "Look, Master, I'm going to go run up this hill and then back down without slipping at all," because it was a ice mountain, basically. And he did that, and Palpatine, he didn't react. He basically force-pushed him into a nearby frozen lake. And Maul was like, what the fuck?
Asshole!
Like, what the fuck? It was extremely cold, and he was just shivering to death. But he used his hatred and rage to will himself out of a frozen lake and get out of it right next to a waiting Palpatine, who's like, "Come, Maul." And they just proceeded to walk wherever their destination was like nothing ever happened.
Fucking dick. What a douche.
Yeah, Maul was like, "I'm gonna please my dad." And the Palpatine's like, "Die." Yeet the child into the lake. But yeah, at the age of, where was I? Okay. At the age of 17, Maul would undergo his final test. Of which he was stranded on the world of Hypori. If you don't remember the world of Hypori, that's where Grievous made his introduction to the galaxy for the first time.
Okay.
And Hypori, it's basically a factory world. It barely has any life. There's metal structures all around, and it's inhabited and purely by droids and all that. So Maul would be placed on Hypori, where he was expected to survive alone, and the only thing to keep him company was an entire army of assassin droids. And those droids were there to mercilessly hunt him down.
Yep.
And a month... Palpatine would return a month later to find Maul barely alive. Like, he is sleep deprived. He hasn't eaten anything in weeks, and he is cut all over from near-death experiences from assassin droids.
Sleep deprived, starving, and cut to shit.
Yep.
What the fuck?
And Maul was still alive, and Palpatine's like, I'm very impressed with you, Maul. However, I came to inform you that you're being replaced.
What the fuck?
Like, Maul was like, what? And Sidious was all like, so first off, before he made that announcement, Sidious was all like, okay, you're shred to shit, try and defeat me. And Maul, he did his absolute best to try and defeat Sidious, but obviously Sidious was at peak condition, and Maul barely had a sliver of willpower to even fight against Sidious.
He was almost fucking dead.
Yeah, and then after Maul couldn't do any more, that's when Sidious made the huge revelation that he was training another apprentice to eventually replace Maul. And Maul, for the first time in his life, was so angry at Sidious. With his last bit of willpower and sheer rage, he jumped at Sidious and bit his hand so hard that it drew blood.
Nice.
And then he spat that blood in Sidious's face in defiance.
Nice.
And then Sidious was like, how dare you? And he goes to strike Maul down with his own training lightsaber. And Maul, despite that last defiant act, could not do anything else. He was shred to shit. And he basically knelt down and accepted his fate. And then as he expected the killing blow, he felt a little sting. Because that was a training lightsaber, and it was...
Yeah, it was just a training saber.
And it was at the lowest setting, so it just stung a little bit. And Sidious was like, haha, I never trained a second apprentice at all. I only did that to incur your rage and all that stuff.
What a dick!
Because it is the way of the Sith for you to hate your master, blah, blah, that sort of thing. And Sidious was like, you have passed your final test. I now declare you a Dark Lord of the Sith, and on this day forward, you are now Darth Maul.
The Sidious is wrong. You apprentices usually don't hate their master. Look at Lacris and Mar.
Well, this is the new line of Sith. You
True,
gotta
I know.
hate everything.
I know.
And then, of course, Sidious had the initiative to bring Maul back to Coruscant and be worked on by a medical droid, at least. But after that, Maul would embrace his new life as a Dark Lord of the Sith. And let me go ahead and tell you what Maul is capable of. Darth Maul proved to be an extremely talented lightsaber duelist, having relentlessly been tutored by Sidious himself. And by the time he became a Darth, he was counted as one of the greatest fighters in the history of the Sith. His main lightsaber form is Form 7 Juyo, an incredibly aggressive form of lightsaber combat commonly used by the Sith, which allowed Maul to draw heavily on the dark side of the Force to overwhelm a single enemy with sheer tenacity. Though he is also proficient in Form 6 Nine Man, given that he has commonly chained Force abilities with his lightsaber sequences. Thus, it is also a gateway to Jar-Kai dual blade fencing and the saber staff technique, which, according to Darth Plagueis himself, Maul is an absolute master of Jar-Kai.
That's also a good lightsaber form.
Oh yeah. His acrobatic abilities also show a proficiency in Form 4 Ataru, and he also has some skill in Form 2 Makashi, of which Sidious made special note of for his elegant and precise blade work. Not on the level of Count Dooku, granted.
Of course not, but still.
Yeah, but still pretty impressive that Darth Sidious called Maul's blade work elegant and precise.
Nice.
Though it is also very important to note that Maul is a pure martial physical fighter. Like, he depends purely on martial skill when it comes to physical combat against other foes. Like, he is such a martial fighter. Like, if you Have you ever watched that episode where he fights Pre Vizsla?
I have not fully, but I do have the pop figures.
Yeah.
That fight.
Yeah. He is an absolute martial master. Like, he has that physique similar to Bruce Lee and all those martial arts masters, because he believes that he's okay. He's not the one to use his force abilities on a whim. He prefers winning through physical fights alone or through martial skill. And yeah, he kind of has that competitive spirit, which also kind of emphasizes on why Sidious throws him through numerous saw traps because of his Zabrak heritage and all that. But yeah, he never took the higher Sith tradition of Dun Mok, which is basically the aspect of psychological warfare against your opponent, like telekinetically throwing objects, taunting them relentlessly. He never did that until like the Clone Wars. He is also skilled in defensive styles such as Form 3 Surisu and Form 5 Shien, especially when it comes to blast deflection. Maul is noted as a very tactical fighter and knows one cannot defeat an opponent through brute strength alone, and takes great care to study the terrain to his advantage. It's also noted that he basically studied the outline of a plasma refinery on Naboo before he engaged in his fight with Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon Jinn. And he basically corralled them to a place of his choosing and eventually killed them. He was a very tactical fighter. He's a lot smarter than he looks.
Yes.
Even before he got resurrected in the Clone Wars. But he is also skilled in the martial art called Teras Kaze, which translates into Steel Hand. And if you recall, Arden Lin is a master with Teras Kaze.
Nice.
And yeah, it was specifically a martial art taught to combat Force users. And when you put that in the hand of another Force user, that makes you an unstoppable force in hand-to-hand combat.
So does Maul know all, like, a bit of everything from every single lightsaber form?
Pretty much, yes. But he mostly masters in Juyo.
Well, duh.
But yeah, he has some skill in every aspect of lightsaber combat, that sort of thing. Even though he is a pure physical fighter, it's not to say that he is not a powerful force user. He is specifically skilled with telekinesis, including the use of force grip and the classic force choke, as all Sith are skilled in. He is even skilled with force speed, which allows him to run phenomenally fast. It even says specifically he can run up to 30 meters per second. Or if you want
In freedom units, please.
in freedom units, yes, I will give you that. He can run 67 miles per hour.
Holy shit!
That's as fast as a cheetah, Hannah.
God damn!
So, if he really wanted to, he could haul ass.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just thinking of that one meme that I've been seeing recently of the actor who plays Barry Allen in the Flash TV show, who's like running. He's looking behind him. He's like, ah! I'm just imagining somebody trying to run away from Maul. He's like, come back here, bitch! Ah!
Running in the 90s.
Yeah, you're not getting away from Darth Maul if he decides to come after you.
Yep.
That's a scary image to think about. Motherfucking Naga Sadao trying to do the family technique, and Darth Maul's like, come back here, bitch! But yeah, he is also heavily proficient in the mind trick ability. One time, he tricked a guard into killing himself by activating a bomb, which not only killed himself, but also an entire mining complex he was stationed at.
Damn.
So he's like, kill yourself. Okay. Boom! But he is also very skilled in telepathically ripping information from the minds of his subjects, willing or not, as you probably recall from the Mandalore saga, where he forcefully ripped information from Fives' mind.
Yep.
He also can use foresight, not foresight, but force sight, to enhance his senses, along with battle mind and force rage to increase his fighting form. He is also skilled in Mechadaro, which allowed him to accomplish supernatural feats of engineering, such as making his lightsaber, modifying his ship, the Scimitar, and personal speeder, the Bloodfin. He is also able to repel other telepaths from invading his mind, such as the time when an Ikchok assassin, which is a species of Sacy-Tin if you want reminding.
Okay.
When an Ikchok assassin attempted to read his mind and simply he simply said, "I've never seen so much darkness," and instantly collapsed into a silent, vegetative state.
Oh.
So
Basically, he went like McGann in season, I think, 3 of Young Justice.
yeah.
Holy shit!
The dude tried to read Maul's mind, and then he just collapsed.
God damn.
Yeah. Of scary things that inhabit Maul's mind. I don't think we want to know what it is. He is also capable of unleashing force screams, and seems to have developed a sort of force premonition, since he figured out the important role Anakin Skywalker would eventually take in the future during the Mandalore arc.
Yep.
But yeah, just to give you a good idea of what Maul is capable of, just from when he was 20, by the way.
I'm trying so hard not to sip.
Yeah, he's got he's got the figure for days, Hannah.
Insert stroke.
But yeah, let me go ahead and resume the lore aspect of Maul. Maul, after gaining the title of Darth, would go on countless missions for his master, which included but not limited to killing political rivals, crime lords, merchants, and warlords. Through more than anything, Maul wished to face was the Jedi, who he had grown to hate from day one.
Yes, we know.
But Sidious, he would kind of corral his apprentice from striking out against the Jedi because, we gotta be secretive here, Maul. You can't just go out guns blazing against the Jedi Order when we still have a lot of things to plan. But Maul would get some opportunities to kill individual Jedi at least. There was one Jedi Sidious wanted Maul to kill, who is this Twi'lek Jedi Master by the name of Solon Urmonka. I'll send a quick picture of him real quickly. Yeah, you'll have to forgive the art style. It's in this
What the fuck?
But yeah, this this Twi'lek Jedi Master, he retired from the Jedi Order, and he is known as one of the greatest fighters of the Jedi Order. Basically, he is a more traditional Jedi, and he retired from the Jedi Order and fucked off into the Outer Rim, where he meditated for 70 years.
Fucking creepy.
But basically, Palpatine looked at this guy, and he was like, "Oh no! If this guy decides to return when the Civ Grand Plan is starting, shit's fucked." Basically, and Sidious basically sent Maul to assassinate the elderly Jedi Master, who's just,
He's chilling.
he's just chilling on some backwater planet. And despite this Jedi Master giving up his lightsaber ages ago, he is armed with nothing but a simple quarterstaff.
Yaddle did the same thing.
And Maul was basically like, "Really? This old man? I could kill him very easily." And Maul snuck up to this Jedi Master and the Jedi Master basically curb stomped the shit out of Maul.
I kind of expected that.
And he's all like, the Jedi Master is all like, you unpredictable savage, get out here. If I ever see you again, I will kill you. And Maul's like, okay, I need to rethink my strategy here. Because at this point, he had a simple singular lightsaber. And he basically came up with an idea. What if I fight fire with fire? Because the Twi'lek Jedi Master had a simple quarterstaff. And he fashioned a second lightsaber. And he fashioned the two lightsabers together to form the saber staff.
Yes. I love the saber staff.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
one of my favorite weapons.
Yeah. He also took let me see, where was it? He took additional inspiration from a traditional Zabrak weapon called the Zobalka, which is a traditional double-bladed sword, which I'll show the picture here. You can actually see a nice little resemblance between his saber staff and the sword there.
Nice.
Yeah. So he taken a little bit from his species heritage, at least.
I like that.
And then he came back to the old Twi'lek Master, and he was all like, hey, I warned you before, you're gonna motherfucking die, bitch. And they get engaged in a huge duel. And basically the Twi'lek Jedi Master closed the distance to basically go CQC on Darth Maul. And Darth Maul basically purposefully overextended himself. And he didn't reveal that he actually had a saber staff the entire time until the Twi'lek Jedi Master was close enough that he activated the other end, stabbing and impaling the Jedi Master, killing him instantly.
Nice.
Yeah, so yeah, Maul had to endure a lot of beatings, but that's just a walk in the park for him at this point.
Still did it.
He still did it. So yeah, that was one of the few times he actually got to kill a Jedi one-on-one. Another instance, which I think is pretty interesting, is a canon example. Let me see if I could think. Okay. So there's this entire canon comic where Maul basically became more and more impatient and wanted to bring the fight to the Jedi Master, to the Jedi Order, or at least kill a Jedi and know what it feels like. And Darth Sidious was kind of having a hard time dealing or allowing Maul to vent his frustrations. There was a pirate attack that happened on a Trade Federation vessel, and Sidious was like, okay, Maul, go ahead and deal with those pirates. Vent a little bit of your frustrations on them. And Maul comes in, and the pirates were all like, oh my god, what the fuck is a Jedi doing here? Holy shit! And
guess what, bitches?
and one of the pirate leader was like, spare me, Jedi! Please, I'll give you information about one of your own that is up for auction at the black market. And Maul's like, a Jedi is up for auction? Yes, just please spare me. Tell me where. It's this cartel. Okay, thank you. Kills him.
Well, duh. He never leaves anybody alive.
Yeah, and the Trade Federation captain that witnessed the entire thing is like, thank you so much for saving our bacon there, Maul. And Maul's all like, you're not going to tell what just happened here to Sidious, are you? What? Killed him. And Maul basically kind of for a little bit went renegade and hired a bunch of bounty hunters to help him out.
Isn't that in the events of Shadowhunter, or am I thinking differently?
I don't know. No. That's the... I think it might be... It's an entire comic. It's not in Shadowhunter, I think.
Okay.
But it's an entire comic. So basically, he hires a bunch of bounty hunters, one of which is Cad Bane, Aurra Sing, and a couple of others.
Okay.
And he infiltrates this auction that's going on, which has attracted a lot of really high-end criminal organizations, like the Black Sun, the Pikes, the Hutts, Hano Onaka's gang is in there too. And basically, this Jedi Padawan that's up for auction is a Twi'lek by the name of Eladra Katis, and I'll show you a picture of her. She's kind of an interesting character for the brief snippets that we got of her, which we could have gotten more of her.
Cool. She's pretty.
Yeah, she's a very pretty looking Twi'lek, and she's still a Padawan, and we don't know exactly how the cartels were able to capture her ass, but she's still a very valuable commodity for being up on the auction. And Darth Maul knew he couldn't win her by the bidding, so he just allowed the bidding to happen and then steal her from the one who won her, basically.
Okay.
And then there's an entire thing where the ship gets shot down, and the host of the auction was all like, "Everybody, the auction has been reopened. The Padawan is on the surface. Whoever catches her, you'll be able to keep her." So basically, multiple crime organizations unleash their own mercenary armies to capture this Padawan, and Maul is basically forced to team up with the very enemy he came to kill, basically. Because he knows he can't take on an entire army by himself. But with a Jedi by his side, the evens are much more in his favor. So after they destroy an entire army of battle droids, then they go up against each other and have this fateful duel. And at first, Maul, he kind of has these interesting thoughts where he senses the anger within this Padawan. And he kind of contemplated about taking her in as his apprentice to potentially rise up against Darth Sidious. But his ambition to fight against an actual Jedi kind of supersedes that little bit of ambition there. So they have this fateful duel, and Darth Maul was like, "This is exactly the fight I have been dreaming of." Because Aladra puts up a pretty good fight against Maul. Like at one point, she manages to cut off his shirt and everything, kind of put a couple of good stabs in him, and she even starts a rock slide that collapses on top of Maul. And as she's about to walk away, Maul just comes out of the rubble and stabs her, killing her instantly. And in those final moments, Maul basically gives her a proper warrior's death, and he imparts the words of, "Know this, Aladra Edris. You truly are a Jedi."
Damn. So
Yeah.
at least he had respect for her.
Yeah. Despite being a mere Padawan, yeah, she put up a pretty good fight against Maul.
Maul has respect for any female character. I mean, on a Mandalore, he calls Ahsoka Lady Tano.
Yep.
And not just, Jedi. Mm-hmm. Or, aside from the fact she's no longer a Jedi. But, he still holds respect for women because that's how he was raised.
That is very true. I mean, I'm not too sure about when he was under Sidious, since he still saw Sidious as his father figure. But yeah, he has a good respect for women, at least.
I love that about him.
Yeah, that is a nice little aspect. But then after that, he would go on a couple of other missions for Sidious, such as starting the Yanchuri Uprising. And the most important one, he would help shatter and utterly break the Black Sun because it has grown too big of a problem for Sidious at that point. He killed one of the members of he killed one of the Vigos because he knew that if he goes to each Vigo individually, it would take a long ass time for him to do. So he killed one Vigo, blew up his entire space station to basically send a message to the other Vigos to team up and try and hunt down this assassin. They kill two birds with one stone, sort of thing. So he would go after the headquarters of the Black Sun, where the Underlord, who is a guy by the name of Alexei, along with the other Vigos. And basically, it's another comic series, and he goes absolutely ham on the mercenaries and bodyguards of the Black Sun. Like, he, quote, slaughtered 7 of the deadliest beings in the galaxy in less time than it takes to say it.
God damn.
Yeah, he is that much of a powerhouse. And taking down the entirety of a Black Sun organization is no small feat on Maul's part. And he even goes up against a particularly powerful Night Sister named Magala, who is the personal bodyguard of Alexei. And I'll send you a picture of them real quickly.
Oh, so that's her name. I
Yep.
didn't know that.
Magala, yeah.
Nice.
And, yeah, even though she was a very powerful Night Sister and she actually knows how to use Force Lightning, Maul just resisted and cut her in half.
Damn.
And then he went up to Alexei, who tried to fight back against Maul, but Alexei managed to slash Maul with a little dagger, but Maul basically jumped Alexei, and both of them fell into a pool, and Maul just basically choked him to death underwater.
So choked him and drowned him.
Choked him and drowned him, yes.
Damn.
Yeah, that's Maul is pretty hardcore when he kills people.
Yeah.
And then another time, he infiltrated this space station called Cog Hive 5 to find a special engineer who designs nuclear weapons, basically. And he was instructed by Sidious to not use his lightsaber or the Force at all, and he would be forced to go into multiple gladiatorial arenas. The first was against a Yuzheng Vong warrior, which, if you remember, are highly Force resistant.
Yeah, but how the fuck did one get into the galaxy?
It's an offshoot where it was like a scout or something, and the criminal's like, ooh, we could use this guy in the arena, this weird alien from the unknown regions, why the hell not? And like, there was a certain moment where the Yuzheng Vong punched Maul so hard that one of his teeth fell out. The Yuzheng Vong, being the people that love their trophies, just picked up Maul's tooth and inserted it in his mouth.
Ew.
And Maul basically beat the living crap out of the Yuzheng Vong with his bare hands.
Who wouldn't? It's like, you stole my tooth. Fucking give me that back.
And then his next opponent was a cybernetically enhanced Wampa. You know, the very thing that
Yes, I know what a Wampa is. But goddamn.
And Maul beat that to death with his fist, basically.
Wow.
And then his final opponent was what is called a Death Spine Virectile, which is the lizard thing that Obi-Wan rode in Revenge of the Sith.
Her name is Boga.
Yeah, I know. It's so adorable. And even on that very same space station, Maul would have a run-in with Kamari Vosa.
Damn.
Yeah, the very apprentice of Count Dooku herself. And they would have a brief fight and then team up because the space station was about to explode. But yeah, a nice little run-in between the apprentices of both Dooku and Sidious.
Yeah, that is cool.
And then after that, then we know the entire role that Darth Maul played in Phantom Menace.
Yep.
I'll basically go through the basics of that. He goes to Tatooine.
Cliff notes.
Cliff Notes version. He goes to Tatooine to find Qui-Gon.
Almost runs over Annie.
Almost runs over Annie. Have a brief fight with Qui-Gon. Ultimately failed in trying to retrieve Padme and all that stuff. And Maul basically returned to Coruscant, a little bit afraid of how Palpatine would react to his failure. But Palpatine, he was ecstatic because he basically manipulated Padme into giving him giving Chancellor Valorum a sense of no confidence, that sort of thing. So Palpatine was very happy about that, and Maul was like, okay, as long as you don't keep in mind of my failure of not killing her on Tatooine, cool.
It's like, I failed, but he's not killing me. Okay.
Yeah, basically. And then Maul would be reassigned by Palpatine to go to Naboo itself to kind of oversee the Trade Federation's operations on Naboo and all that. And here's his entire little interaction that I find kind of fascinating. So Maul has his personal ship, which is called the Scimitar. It has its own cloaking field and everything. And the moment he arrived on Naboo, he was kind of disappointed with the Trade Federation's operations because formerly it was blockaded by a bunch of ships. Now it's just reduced to one singular battleship to run the blockade and all that. And Maul was like, you goddamn Nemodian bitches. You are more concerned with comrades and all of that than formulating this blockade around Naboo. What the fuck? And he was half tempted to sneak on board that Trade Federation ship just to make a new Gunray look bad. And It's also kind of funny because Maul was basically the most intimidating motherfucker any Nemodian has ever faced. Like, he basically quoted, he didn't need to do anything. He just needed to look at the Nemodians and they just cower away in fear.
Yeah.
And made them work just as quickly when Maul was around. But yeah, Maul was a force to be reckoned with. Even the Nemodians didn't want to fuck with him that much. But yeah, then we lead up to his climactic duel with Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon. He manages to kill Qui-Gon, which was a very difficult endeavor on his part, and he wanted to give him a much more honorable death in a quick, simple stabby-stab motion. And then he got a little bit overconfident with Obi-Wan. He was basically like gulling him, like swinging his lightsaber to try and get Obi-Wan to let go of a grip that he had. And then Obi-Wan had a second win, and Maul got bisected by Obi-Wan.
Yes.
And it's especially noted that throughout his entire life, the only time Darth Maul ever flinched was when he was cut in half by Obi-Wan.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at that scene, he's like, his eyes just widen. He's like, oh no.
Oh shit, so this is what it feels like to fail, crap. And then yeah, he goes into the reactor pit. And you know that saying, too angry to die?
Yes, he is too angry to die. Everyone knows this.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he wouldn't have shown back up in the Clone Wars.
So basically, what happened between when he was falling into the reactor pit and when he was on that junk world, which is called Lothar Minor, by the way?
Okay.
So basically, with his last bit of willpower and sheer rage, he grabbed onto an air vent, hauled himself in, found himself in like a container of water, which is shipped onto a Naboo ship, which I think was like going to Lothar Minor to dump it or whatever.
Okay.
And Maul kind of went unconscious, but then he woke up and he just screamed in absolute rage. He was like, Kenobi! And he cut his way out of a ship and fell into the junk world known as Lothar Minor. And he stayed there for like 13 years, I believe. Just his mind and sanity slowly deteriorating.
He's going fucking nuts.
Yeah. And the only thing that kept him just that little bit stable was Kenobi. Kenobi.
Is where the hate boner comes in.
Yeah, and he managed to construct himself a little spider body.
Not
made
a
out
little
of
spider
junk
body.
and everything.
He made spider legs.
He made spider legs, which I think is entirely comprised of the Force itself. There's not even any pure mechanical parts in at least. It's powered completely by his sheer hatred in the Force.
I love that.
And then, of course, we know the rest.
He's
Savage.
just too angry to fucking die.
Yeah,
and I love it.
He is literally. He's not anywhere like a motherfucking Darth Sion, but yeah, he's literally too angry to die. And then, of course, we know the rest. Savage Opress finds him, takes him back to Dathomir to be restored by Mother Talzin, who gives him nice little chicken legs. And then Maul, he was. You gotta think of it from his perspective. He got cut in half, driven to near insanity for a good 13 years of his life, basically forgotten by Palpatine, who assumed he just died. And then he came back to realize that a decade has passed, and the Clone Wars has started without him. The grand plan has already proceeded without him.
He'd be pissed. He's very pissed.
He'd be very pissed, yes. And the first thing he decided to do was go to a nearby Outer Rim world, slaughtered all of the innocents, and basically goaded Obi-Wan to come and face him.
Oh my god.
Like, there's an entire episode where it's all like, he has this hollow recording where he has like a bunch of people lined up, and he's like, Kenobi, come here and face me. Otherwise, more innocents will die. And he just decapitates the ones that he has in front of him.
Holy shit.
Yeah, even by the time Obi-Wan gets there, everybody's basically dead.
Goddamn.
And the entire village is on fire with Maul just standing there menacingly.
What a hell of a way to make a comeback. It's like, I lived, bitch!
Basically. And what a way to announce, hey, Kenobi, come face me, otherwise all these innocents will die. Nope. Kill it anyway. But yeah, then after that entire endeavor, Ventress comes in, saves Kenobi's bacon, basically. And then Savage and Maul were stranded in space. And Savage is like, what do we do, brother? Do we go after them? And Maul's like, no, patience, Savage. I have waited so long to have my revenge. I can afford to wait a little bit longer.
He's like, I fucking waited 13 years. I can do it more.
Yeah, I think this is a nice little bit of character development. Because in his years under the tutelage of Darth Sidious, he was a huge, impatient motherfucker. Because he wanted so badly to strike against the Jedi. And because of his overconfidence in defeating Qui-Gon and potentially killing Obi-Wan, that overconfidence cost him dearly. So he's learning from his mistakes.
Yes, as any decent person should.
Oh, yeah. And there's an entire comic book series, which I'll kind of gloss over, where he goes through other shenanigans. This little comic series was actually kind of interesting because it actually showed Palpatine's reaction to Maul being alive again.
Oh.
Yeah. Palpatine was like, what the fuck is going on? Why is Kenobi and the rest of the Jedi over in this backwater world? We need to focus on the war. And then they dropped the bomb that Maul was bagging. Palpatine for the first time was like,
what?
That is unfortunate.
That is unfortunate. That's your reaction?
Well, he needed to keep up his Palpatine persona because if he reacted as Sidious.
I know. It's like, oh. Okay.
Yeah, you gotta imagine as his Palpatine persona, who's this very charismatic, very calm-looking figure, just, oh no, I'm screwed. But no, I think it was kind of fascinating because I think it was one of the few times that Palpatine had that legit oh shit moment.
Yeah, even if he is an evil bastard behind everything, he's just like, oh no.
Yeah, and Palpatine himself believed that if Darth Maul went around unchecked, he would rise to such a degree of power that he could directly challenge Palpatine himself. He tried, and Maul, even though he had his hate boner for Kenobi, he did have other ambitions, such as making his own empire to potentially carve out his own piece of a pie in the galaxy. He tried it with Hondo Ohnaka in his game, but we don't know how that happened. He got stranded. As
Hondo said, we're pirates!
We're pirates! We don't even know what that means! Then he got stranded in the dead of space. Savage Oprez got his arm lobbed off. He got one of his cybernetic chicken legs cut off in the process. And then, out of sheer chance, Death Watch managed to come across his ship, and he had his first actual ally in the form of Pre Vizsla.
So that's when he allies with Death Watch.
Yep. And the Death Watch gave him new human legs instead of the awkward chicken legs.
The better looking cybernetic legs.
Yeah, exactly. And they had this little alliance going on, like, hey, you want to take over Mandalore? I want to create my own criminal empire. We could probably work something out here. Yeah, he recruited the Black Sun by decapitating a majority of their leader, then selected their captain as the new leader of Black Sun. The Pike Syndicate, they didn't need to do anything with them because they approached him.
Didn't we cover this in the last episode?
Yes, in literally the last episode. And then the HUD cartels, they had a little bit of a problem with because they were like, fuck you, we're not going to submit to you, Maul. And then Maul basically marched up to Jabba's palace, and Jabba's like, okay, we will join you. Don't do anything else.
That's only, give him, a couple more years and a certain slave will kill him.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But yeah, long story short, Darth Maul has his little shadow collective going on here. A very formidable criminal empire in the making. They managed to take over Mandalore. He manages to kill Pre Vizsla after he decided, hey, I don't need you anymore. And then Darth Maul was like, so, you have chosen death. And now he is basically the ruler of one of the most influential planets in the galaxy.
He became Mandalore.
He became Mandalore. And of course, there's a little fraction between the loyalist Death Watch and the ones loyal to Maul. The Maul-Delorians. That name will always...
I love the Maul-Delorians.
The name is so goofy, but they look so awesome.
I love the way their armor looks.
Oh, yeah.
It's so cool.
Oh, yeah.
Especially the little horns on their helmets.
And then, of course, Darth Maul had his opportunity to execute Duchess Satine in front of Kenobi, who decided to go and rescue her. That whole entire shtick.
That breaks my heart.
And then for the first time, over the past 13 years, Darth Sidious and Darth Maul once again meet face to face. And at first, Maul was basically all like, I have done all of this in hopes of reaching out to you, Master. And of course, Darth Sidious, being the master of manipulation himself, saw through that instantly.
He's like, no, you're bullshitting me. Time to die.
And I gotta say, the fight between Sidious, Maul, and Savage is probably one of the best dark side on dark side fights I've ever seen.
I've seen a few clips of it. The way Sidious is just, like, acting like it's a fucking game.
Oh, yeah.
Is mind-boggling.
Yeah, like, he's playing the politician for the better half of, like, 20 years or something. This is like a vacation for him.
He's laughing his ass off while he's fighting them.
Yeah, and, of course, he kills Savage, which is a huge... Rip Savage, which is a huge twist to the knife, and kind of ironic considering that Maul, just a couple of hours earlier, killed Satine, which is the closest love interest Kenobi has. And, of course, Savage... the blood brother of Maul himself. Kind of a little bit of an irony going on here.
Oh, also, Savage kills Farrell.
Oh, yeah. Very unfortunate set of circumstances here.
I know, but still.
Yeah. And then Maul does a pretty good job on going mano-a-mano with Sidious. But, of course, it's Sidious. He manages to overwhelm him with the sheer power of the Force alone.
Yep. And
probably for the first time in his life, he begs for mercy from Sidious. And Sidious like, there is no mercy. And then, of course, he takes him in as prisoner. There's an entire prison complex. There's an entire comic series called The Son of Dathomir, which was originally supposed to be a Clone Wars trilogy, but unfortunately...
It got relegated to a comic.
Yeah, it unfortunately got relegated to a comic, where Maul actually got to meet Count Dooku for the first time.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and Count Dooku... I believe he did consider Maul a worthy predecessor to him, but he kind of still thinks lowly of him because he betrayed Palpatine and all that. Like, where is your loyalties, you son of a bitch? And then he got broken out by loyalist Mandalorian forces led by Gar Saxton.
Nice.
Who's got the best looking armor of the Mandalorians, by the by. Mm-hmm. And then... he reconvenes with his criminal allies, his Mandalorian allies. The Hutt cartels are no longer in the picture. He has the Black Sun and the Pike Syndicate. And they decide to go out on an all-out war against the Separatists.
Okay.
And Grievous takes charge, leading the military campaign against Darth Maul. And he actually crosses blades with Darth Maul at one point.
Is he just gonna meet every other fucking Darksider here?
Pretty much.
God damn.
So yeah, Grievous beats him back. Maul is forced to retreat back to another world, and Dooku and Grievous personally lead the attack against Maul. There's an entire thing going on. Maul, despite being heavily outnumbered, has a plan. Even though they're heavily outnumbered by an entire flotilla of separatist ships and battle droids, he decides to infiltrate Grievous's flagship and capture Grievous alive, because he's the one who's controlling the droid army. He's like, all right, Grievous, shut down your droid army right now or I will kill your ass. And that's basically what Grievous did.
Coward.
And Dooku, he personally went on the planet, and a bunch of Night Brothers joined Darth Maul's battle against the Separatists.
That's cool. So somehow he fucking went back to Dathomir and liberated the Night Brothers.
Basically, and okay. So Mother Talzin basically reached out to Maul personally, like, I'm your mother, that sort of thing. And giving him advice of how to proceed with the war, because she had a plan to have her revenge against Palpatine. And Dooku was the most important part of that plan.
Well, that was probably after the massacre, right?
Yeah, right after the massacre.
So Talzin was still in her, like, spirit form.
Well, she was still in her physical form. And she
Oh.
just got the fuck out of there when she could.
Okay.
But long story short, Dooku gets captured after the entire droid army gets shut down and he's surrounded at all sides by the crime syndicates and everything. So Maul basically has Grievous and Dooku, two of the most powerful people in the galaxy, under his custody. And he contacted Palpatine personally, like, I have two of your most powerful pawns under my thumb. You might as well give up now, Master. And basically, Palpatine very callously said, they're replaceable.
Ooh. God damn.
And Maul was like, fine, have it your way, old man. And basically, Maul went up, Maul kind of looked at Grievous, saw him as an abomination, and told him, and had him go back into another cell or whatever. Because he wanted to talk with a fellow Darksider, which is, Dooku. And he's all like, you saw how callously Palpatine sees his subordinates. Join my side and we'll be able to defeat Sidious and we'll be able to rule the galaxy, you and I, so on and so forth. And Dooku, he was all like, okay, I'm down. I'm down to join your side, Maul. And
Plot twist, no he wasn't.
yeah, he wasn't. He was just biding his time and joining Maul's side for the time being. But during that time, he kind of very subtly used the Force to deactivate the prison chamber that was holding his ally, Grievous. And also a special note, Grievous was kind of a Chad throughout his entire comic. Not only did he defeat Maul, when he got out of his cell, he killed several Death Watch warriors by himself. Like, he crushed their Beskar armor like it's paper.
Oh, no.
And he went in an escape pod and got the fuck out of there. And Darth Maul and Dooku eventually had to fight Obi-Wan, Mace Windu, Aayla Secura, and a couple of other Jedi Masters, because Maul has a huge target on his chest from the Republic as well, and Obi-Wan wanted to kill Maul because he's his number one rival and that sort of thing. So they managed to get the fuck out of there, went to Dathomir. In reality, Maul wanted Dooku not as an ally, but to bring him to Mother Talzin, because Dooku was required for this special ceremony for Talzin to come back in her full power, basically. And Grievous went back to Palpatine himself. This is probably the first time both of them have met each other in the flesh, basically. And in another twist of irony, Palpatine used Darth Maul's old fighter, the Scimitar, which has a personal cloaking field, and they infiltrated Dathomir.
Okay.
And then it led to this final duel between Palpatine and Grievous, and Maul and a possessed Dooku, who was, being controlled by Mother Talzin. And then Mother Talzin comes back in her full form, and she's like, I'm going to kill you, Palpatine. And they have this clash of Force lightning and everything. Dooku comes back to joins in the struggle against Mother Talzin by Palpatine's side. And Maul was like, Mother, let me lend my energy to you, and all that stuff. The Goku spirit bomb thing. Mother Talzin, even though she's the second most powerful Force user in the galaxy at that point, she was not powerful enough to take on both Palpatine and Dooku.
That's bullshit.
Not to mention, Grievous was menacingly strolling up to her. And she's all like, she doesn't want her baby boy to be killed.
Her only living son.
She didn't want her only living son to die with her. So, in probably the most noble act Mother Talzin ever made, she force pushed Maul away as Grievous slowly approached Mother Talzin and delivered the killing blow to her. And Maul was just corralled away by his Mandalorian allies as he watched hopelessly as his mother was killed.
Well, it kind of came full circle.
Indeed. And then at that point, Palpatine's like, all right, we've killed Mother Talzin. Maul does have his allies, but he's no longer that much of a threat to us. Just let him be for now.
Like, fuck this, we're leaving.
Yeah, pretty much. Then long story short, his entire Shadow Collective was just shattered from the relentless separatist assaults and Republic assaults and everything. And all the crime organizations were like, fuck this, we're out. And then Maul focused on a new crime organization, which we all know is the Crimson Dawn.
Yeah.
Then the entire
Literally
Mandalore
refers
siege.
to the last episode.
Yeah. Then the entire Mandalore siege happens, where Maul is still the leader of Mandalore.
Still tried to goad Kenobi into coming to see him, and it's
Exactly.
like Ahsoka ends up there, and he's so confused, like, what the fuck? I was expecting Kenobi.
Yeah, exactly. But he did see an opportunity because, as you recall from the Siege of Mandalore arc, he has been gaining numerous visions of the beginning of the end, which we all know is Order 66 and all that. And he is, and one of the reasons why he drew in Kenobi was, well, he has a murder boner, but also hopefully to kill Anakin Skywalker, depriving Palpatine of a new pupil.
If only that happened.
Yeah.
Imagine what could have happened if Maul had killed Anakin and basically prevented Order 66 from happening.
Yeah, exactly. But he did find a new opportunity with Ahsoka Tano, who he realized from ripping the information out of Five's head, that she was rejected from the Jedi Order.
She left.
Yeah, she left the Jedi Order. And I really, really love this conversation he has with Ahsoka. And he also makes a little comment where he's telling the other crime leaders to go into hiding because shit's about to go sideways. And he's all like, I once thought Count Dooku was an old fool, but now I realize he and I are the same, always 2 steps behind. Yeah. And then he has his entire conversation with Ahsoka, trying to convince her to join his side to kill Sidious and all that, which obviously didn't work, but you gotta admire his effort for trying at least.
Not but 5 minutes in that episode later, they team up to cause chaos on the ship.
Yeah, but beforehand, he was put in basically his
He's in the
best card
timeout
timeout
box.
corner.
The best card timeout box.
But yes, also a nice little showcase of how fearsome Maul is, even without his lightsaber, because he brought down the entire engine room of that Star Destroyer.
I mean, just
Down.
the way he was causing chaos with his bare hands and the Force is like, insert another stroke.
Also, gotta put a little bit of context, since gotta keep this in your mind, that Darth Maul can run 67 miles per hour. If he really wanted to, he could just speed blitz all the clones, but no, he's
taking his time.
He's just taking his motherfucking time, which I think is so badass.
He's like, I'm going to enjoy this. I got some rage pent up. I need to enjoy this.
Pretty much. When you have basically your entire mini kingdom of Mandalore taken from you, you might as well unleash your rage on something.
Yep.
And then, of course, he escapes. He kind of consolidates a little bit of his power with the Crimson Dawn, teaching, what was his name? Dryden Voss, was it?
Yep,
Yeah.
Dryden Voss.
Teaching Dryden Voss the ways of Terras Kaze, and then eventually teaching his successor, quote-unquote, Kira, the way of Terras Kaze. And then he journeys to the planet of Malachor, which has a ancient Sith super weapon he wanted to use. Runs into Ezra Bridger, Kanan Jarrus, and also Ahsoka Tano as well. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's the entire thing where he tries to tempt Ezra to the dark side, take him in as his new apprentice and all that.
I saw a meme where it was like Ezra explaining this crusty old man to Kanan. And Kanan's just sitting there like, oh God, who is it now? Because first time it was Hondo.
Yeah.
Second time it's Maul.
God
Poor
damn.
Kanan, he's like, how the fuck did you end up talking to a Sith?
And all in his defense, Maul didn't call himself a Sith anymore because even Ezra was all like, "Are you a Sith?" And Maul basically said, "The Sith took everything from me."
True, but he's still a Darksider.
That is true, but even on his own Wikipedia article, he's just simply called Maul, not Darth Maul, Maul.
Yeah.
Because he denounced the Sith, but he's still a Darksider for all intents and purposes.
Still, Darth Maul fits better.
Oh yeah. And then throughout the years, he's going through all these schemes, convincing Ezra to join the dark side. They form the Sith and Jedi holocrons together because Maul wanted to see the future or whatever. Then the most important thing that he discovered was that Kenobi was still alive. He's like, he lives.
God damn. And of course, this is when Obi-Wan is on Tatooine.
Yep. Where he's a
exile.
motherfucking hermit in the middle of buttfuck nowhere.
Self-imposed exile.
Yeah. Long story short, Maul finds his way to Tatooine along with Ezra, who basically kind of led him there to begin with. And there's that famous scene where he's in the middle of a desert and he yells Kenobi at the top of his lungs.
I fucking love that scene. One of Sam Witwer's best lines.
Gotta admit, you gotta have a really powerful lungs to
You gotta
convey
have a lot of lung strength with that one.
Kenobi! I'm a little afraid to do that because I don't want to get a noise complaint from the neighbors.
Oh, your neighbors would be pissed.
But yeah, long story short, Kenobi and Maul have their nice little reunion. I remember when this episode came out, a lot of people were kind of underwhelmed by that little brief dueling scene, but I think it's very appropriate for both characters. It plays out like a very classic samurai duel, where it's just a slow build-up, they're kind of in their fighting stances and everything. And a couple of fans kind of point out that Obi-Wan, instead of doing a Surisu stance, goes back into Qui-Gon's stance to kind of bait
That's a nice
Maul in.
callback.
Yeah. And then just in 3 strokes, it was over. And throughout that entire thing, Maul was doing everything. At the end of the day, both Obi-Wan and Maul were very similar. Different sides of the same coin, so to speak. Both of them lost everything. But Kenobi, he remained resolute in his purpose and position in the Jedi Order, while Maul never let go of his sense of revenge and hatred towards Obi-Wan.
Like I've said, they're each other's foil.
Yep. But yeah, it was just a really fitting end for Darth Maul to be slain by the hand of his nemesis and his most respected foe, so to speak.
And he gave him a decent death. He said, it's okay.
Yeah. And Obi-Wan, he actually made Maul a nice little funeral ceremony.
And he held him as he died.
Mm-hmm.
Just like he did with Qui-Gon.
Yep. Yeah. Gotta admit, one of the greatest things to come out of technically the canon side of things was the revival of Darth Maul. I remember back in the day, people were like, oh, they're running out of ideas. They need to bring out characters from the dead to progress the story. But it's
Fuck
all
that. This was a great idea.
Yeah, because they actually brought a lot of character development to Darth Maul and expanded on his character arc, so to speak.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it made him much more sympathetic as a character outside of being an assassin for Sidious.
I'm a sucker for sympathetic villains.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
sorry.
Very, very true.
But the way Obi-Wan just peacefully holds Maul as he dies and doesn't harbor any for him after all these years, it's like he's, even in his old age, he still upheld every single Jedi ideal.
Yeah.
Even though Maul took away Satine, he took away Qui-Gon. He did all this stuff to him just to get back at him.
Not to mention a little bit earlier, Darth Maul was all like, oh, you have a purpose here to protect something? No. Protect someone.
Oh, he was going to go after Luke.
Yeah, with that little threat. It would have been much more understandable if Obi-Wan decided to more fucking
if he had
despise him.
if he had lost it.
Yeah, but Obi-Wan remained calm and resolute, allowing Maul to die peacefully by his hands.
That's cool. I like that about him.
Yeah, I do. Kind of going on the other side of the story before Maul was revived, there is a couple of canon / non-canon stories. In the Star Wars comic, Star Wars Visionaries, there's this non-canon story where Darth Maul basically comes upon the farmstead that Luke Skywalker grew up at, and basically he went. Owen was all like, "Back away, stranger. Whatever you have here, you won't find here." But this looming figure just kept charging at him, and he basically sent Owen flying, and Luke was being protected by Beru, and he's all like, "It's him, the son of a chosen one." And then the cloaked figure looks around, and he's like, "I know you're there, Kenobi. You're always there. And I pursued you relentlessly across the galaxy." And it goes to numerous panels where it's like, "I attract you to Kamino, but was less than 2 steps behind you. I went to the battle sites of Geonosis. I went to Polis Massa. And finally, I came here to Tatooine. Got the information out of an old slave trader who was the former master of the Chosen One before I liberated his head from his body."
He killed Moro!
Yep, basically. And a unseen figure was basically saying, "Does Sidious know?" And the cloaked figure was all like, "No, Sidious doesn't know. No Empire, no Jedi, no Sith, no nothing. Just you and me, Kenobi." And then Kenobi, he just comes out. Apparently he buried himself in the sand, and then he revealed himself. and then Obi-Wan's like, "This time I'll make sure to put you down permanently." And by the way, this is what Maul's non-canonical appearance is. And this was a direct inspiration the Clone Wars version took.
The legs don't look that bad. The feet are a little wonky, but I don't like the way his horns look.
Yeah. This very appearance of Maul was what the Clone Wars version took direct inspiration from. With the chicken legs and everything. And
yeah, kind of chicken legs. I see that.
But yeah, they have this nice little duel. Obi-Wan manages to cut off Maul's arm. Maul basically donkey kicks Obi-Wan into a speeder. And Obi-Wan has his hilt of his lightsaber at Maul's head, about to activate the lightsaber. But Owen was the one who shot down Maul, basically.
Oh. Hey, fucker, you stole my kill!
But yeah, that was a nice little it's declared non-canon.
I can see why it's non-canon.
Yeah, but I think it was a interesting what if.
That is an interesting what if.
But for the other two, basically they're canon-ish stories and legends. It was basically like a brief instance of the writers deciding to bring back Maul very briefly for this certain story. In the same year as A New Hope, the events of New Hope, basically, Darth Vader was looking for the Death Star plans, and it led him to this backwater planet, and he brought a bunch of stormtroopers with him. And he came across this cult of Darksiders called the Prophets of the Sith, or whatever their name is called.
Okay.
And these prophets were declared to Vader basically a pretender Sith, because he came from a Jedi lineage, and they believe he's not worthy to be taught by Darth Sidious himself. And they went through this entire process. They lured Vader to his planet specifically to put them against this new replacement for Sidious. And then Darth Vader was like, "Who?" And then out of the shadows, motherfucking Darth Maul shows up to fight Vader.
Badass!
I'll actually show you a picture of Maul facing Vader. And Vader was very confused, like, "Maul?
What?
What the fuck?"
So confused.
Yeah, he's like, Maul?
That's cool though.
Yeah.
You would never think that I never thought I would want to see Vader fight Maul, but
Oh,
that's
yeah.
actually really cool.
So yeah, basically Vader and this. Okay, it's not clear if this is like the actual Darth Maul and he was restored via dark side magic, or if it was like a doppelganger or something.
Okay.
But he fought in a similar fashion to the original Maul. So they had this nice little duel going on. Vader was having significant trouble against Maul because he has his two lightsabers that quickly overwhelmed Darth Vader. And through sheer tenacity, Darth Vader decided to go balls to the wall. He turned his back to Maul, who went in for a killing blow like this, and Darth Vader put his lightsaber up, activated it, and impaled himself and Maul.
Damn.
And I'll show
I
you
think he kind of knew, this won't kill me. I'll be
pretty
fine.
much. And yeah, that's how Vader basically kills his Maul doppelganger.
Oh, that's actually really cool.
And in his dying words, Darth Maul was like, "Who do you hate enough to destroy me?" And Darth Vader replies in the most badass way possible, "Myself."
Oof.
But yeah, he basically decided to kill himself to kill Darth Maul, in a sense.
Technically, he didn't kill himself. He knew he was good. He could survive that.
And then the prophets who were watching this entire duel happening, they were all like, "Impossible." And then Darth Sidious manages to kill all the prophets right then and
If
there.
out of nowhere, Sidious is there. What the fuck?
And Sidious like, "You done a wonderful job, Vader, in coming out on top against the doppelganger of Darth Maul, congratulating him." And it's like, "You will continue your mission to find the plans for the Death Star." And Vader's like, "As you wish, Master." Mm-hmm. And then one last story, which I think is kind of interesting. Like a year, this basically takes a year after the Battle of Endor, and it takes place on the Zabrak homeworld of Iridonia. Luke was there for some diplomatic mission, but he hears about stories of this demon, this blue demon that is roaming the underbelly of Iridonia. He goes to investigate himself, and he basically finds this holographic wraith of what appears to be Darth Maul himself.
Okay.
And basically, if he manages to get around his mystery, there's this Zabrak scientist who somehow managed to get his hands on the brain of Darth Maul.
What the fuck?
And decided to, diddle with it a little bit. It's like the classic brain in a jar sort of thing. And he put it in a holo projector. And Maul, from his furious, unbridled rage, created holographic projections of himself to wreak havoc across Iridonia and all that. And then Luke Skywalker decided to put Darth Maul's brain out of its misery.
What the fuck?
I know it's a very weird story, but if I throw it out there for the mindfuckery. Literally.
All right.
But yeah, that's the story of the very interesting story of Darth Maul.
I fucking love this character so much.
I could tell, Hannah. I could really tell.
I think the stroke count was up to 3 in this one.
Oh, yes. Like, my own personal thoughts about Darth Maul. Like I said, I am more of a Grievous simp than anything else. But I think Maul is a fairly fascinating character. Not only does he have the most badass lines in all of the Clone Wars, which I remember up in my noggin to this very day. But yeah, they did justice to his character in the Clone Wars.
Yes.
Like, of course, there's like the novels, the comics that kind of expand more on his story and his character under the service of Sidious. But I think the Clone Wars really did his character extreme justice, especially with Sam as the voice of Maul.
Sam Witwer just does an amazing job as the voice of Maul.
Oh, yeah.
Ray Park did an amazing job acting him because of all the
choreographs,
choreographed scenes and everything, and the fights.
Mm-hmm.
The fight scenes with Maul are just fucking amazing. Chef's kiss. Mwah.
Chef's kiss on your part. But yeah, I think Maul is a very fascinating character, and it's kind of a darker aspect of Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Like, I remember that particular scene from before Maul was about to execute Satine, where he's all like, they have their conflicting ideologies, where Kenobi's all like, you may kill me, but you'll never destroy me. Only cowards choose the dark side. And you could see, of course you would send those emojis, but you could see Obi-Wan's point of view. But on the other end, Maul didn't really have a choice in the matter. The dark side was all he knew.
Yeah. From a very young age, that's all he knew.
Yeah. It's a very interesting what if the Jedi discovered Maul and he became a Jedi.
I've seen a nice AU of Jedi Maul on Tumblr,
Yeah.
where he's Mace Windu's apprentice.
Yeah, that was a very interesting pair up and very appropriate in my opinion. Yeah. But also that little connection between Maul and Cinderella was really hilarious to
That
me.
was so fucking hilarious. The way it clicked in my head, I was like, oh my god.
Oh my god, Maul is a Disney princess. Once again, somebody, I don't care who, some artist on DeviantArt, I need to see Darth Maul as a Disney princess. Get on it, stat.
Yes, I want to see Darth Maul as a Disney prince.
But yeah, that is our episode of Can Mayonnaise Kill a Jedi? Or once again, Darth Maul is canonically a Disney princess. But yeah, got any closing thoughts, Hannah?
Let your hate flow through you, my friends.
Indeed. Or let me see if I could pull up another Darth Maul quote. Welcome, Kenobi, to my world. By the way, may the Force be with you.
Let the hate flow through you.
Indeed, and this is the way.
Bye-bye.
Adios.